Welcome to the Selling from the Heart podcast on the Salescast Network. You've joined a global movement of sales professionals who are dedicated to being authentic and building trust. We call it Selling from the Heart. Together, we are on a mission to bring sincerity and substance to the sales profession we all love. Get ready to be inspired and equipped as we join our hosts, Larry Levine and Darrell Amy.
Hey there, everyone. This is Larry. I want to take a moment to express my heartfelt gratitude for the incredible support you've shown since Selling in a Post-Trust World book launched earlier in August. Thanks to you, Selling in a Post-Trust World is making waves and helping sales professionals everywhere build authentic relationships. If you haven't grabbed your copy yet, head over to barnesandnoble.com and order yours today. And here's a special thank you. When you leave a review of the book, we'll give you instant access to our exclusive Selling in a Post-Trust World private podcast. This 12-episode series dives deeper into each chapter, offering actionable insights to elevate your sales game. Don't miss out. Order your copy, leave a review, and unlock exclusive content designed to help you sell from the heart. For more details, go to sellinginapostrustworld.com. Thank you. Thank you for being part of this movement. Together, we're transforming the world of sales, one authentic relationship at a time.
Hello, and welcome back to the Selling from the Heart podcast. Your co-host, Darrell Amy, here today with Larry Levine. What's going on, Larry?
Hey, what isn't going on? Summer has flown by. We're dipping into fall. What this year? Where has it gone? But you know what? I'm massively excited for our good friend Tim Ohai joining us today.
It's going to be a great conversation. Tim Ohai is three-peating on the podcast. You know he's good. He's back in the house. We're going to have a great conversation today. And you're absolutely right, Larry. It is the fourth quarter. It seems like it's flown by, but what an incredible year. It's been just so many great mile markers and our friends. Congratulations to you getting the book out, Selling in a Post-Trust World in the third quarter. If you hadn't got your copy yet, go to sellinginapostrustworld.com. Get that copy. But Larry, this, as we head into Q4, I'm so fired up about all that's ahead in terms of keeping our friends and ourselves focused and motivated as we move through this fourth quarter on into a new year.
Yeah, I just want to give a special shout out to, he's become a good friend of mine who's leading a great team. He's waving the flag, not only on Selling from the Heart, but Selling in a Post-Trust World. He's keeping his team fired up. Damon Lemby, I really appreciate you over at Learn It. You got it going on, and I appreciate it. Not only that, you're a baseball guy like I am, and we get into some great baseball talk. Damon, super grateful to have you in this community.
Awesome. Love it. Love it. Love it. And yes, baseball. We're not going there though.
No, we're not. We're not even going there.
Podcast. And we're recording it a few weeks ahead. So we have no idea what's going on. So it would make sense anyways. Hey, guess what? Tim Ohai is back in the studio and we're so excited to have him here. He is the founder of Kupu Solutions, a consultancy that is at the forefront of leadership development, sales enablement, and organizational transformation. With more than 2 decades of experience, Tim has become a trusted advisor to not only Fortune 500 companies and also startups, crafting strategies that drive sustainable growth and meaningful change. As you get to know Tim, you're going to find out that he is a seasoned business strategist, prolific writer, and an educator, and he is known for his pragmatic approach and deep insights into human behavior, organizational dynamics, and execution. Tim is always awesome on the Selling from the Heart podcast. And we are so glad you're back. Tim, welcome home to the Selling from the Heart podcast.
Hello,
I love
guys.
you some Tim Ohai.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's so good to see you guys again.
It's going to be a fun day today. You know, when we get started, the question we ask, and this is now your third time to answer this question, and you've had a lot of time to think about this. So we're waiting with bated breath, Tim, to hear what does it mean to you to sell from the heart?
Oh man. So first of all, it's a great question because I think a lot of us don't slow down long enough to even think about what our answer is. And I'm going to say it's very simply this. When you're selling from the heart, you're selling from a place of confidence, not the fear of failure. You're selling from a place of acceptance, not the fear of rejection. And you're selling from a place of true trust and not afraid of risk. And I see so many sellers get sucked up. And part of it's just human and how we're raised, but also our company cultures can push us to whatever you do, don't fail. Whatever you do, don't get rejected. And whatever you do, don't have any risk. And I'm sorry, that's just not the reality that we all live in. So when you can shift your own internal focus to say, look, no matter whether I win or lose, I'm doing my best. No matter customers love me or hate me, it doesn't matter. I love myself, and I'm going to use that to love everyone around me. And if I can truly trust the journey, it doesn't matter if there's risk or the false sense of control, because it always ends well. And I'm going to put myself there. When you go there, the authenticity that comes out of you, the trust you generate, the relationships you invest in, it completely changes your game. So that's my definition.
Now that is a good one, Mr. Tim Ohai. So this begs the question, because I love where you went with this, with the confidence and so forth, because I'm a massive believer. You got to be confident in yourself to have any confidence that, they exude to your clients and your future clients. Where does somebody start to get grounded in all of this?
That's a great question, Larry. How many of you have had a situation where you're trying to build your confidence and the voice in your own head is your biggest critic?
Yeah.
So it's been said that, the number one place to start your confidence is what you say to yourself, right? But on top of that, I can come alongside somebody, a coworker, somebody who works for me, even somebody I work for, and I can say, look, how can I help you? And make sure that you're not alone. There's tremendous confidence that comes when we come together. As my friend Peter Lynch says, when we get yoked, and he means yoke like the old fashioned, like two oxen or two horses. There's actual data that shows when you put a yoke on horses, like these Belgian workhorses in Europe, you get not just double the work, you get like 5 times more power when you come together. So that, I would say right off the bat, number one, what you say to yourself matters, but also who you're saying that stuff to around you. And you put that together and you tighten up. It makes a massive difference.
I love that because, as sales professionals, we have a lot of stuff coming against us every day, and not everything that's said to us is positive and uplifting. And a lot of times what's not said can really drag us down as well. And when we're the ones who are looking to our left, to our right, above, below, around, and encouraging people, that's power right there. And that's a powerful strategy to change the self-talk in our head when we're actually the ones that are sharing that with other people. Absolutely love it. Love it. Love it. We got to talk about execution, Tim, because there is strategy written down on paper, and then there's the actual doing of that strategy. And I love the title of your show that you've been recording, How to Not Execute Your Strategy. Hilarious, provocative. When it comes to sales strategy, Tim, how do we not execute our sales strategy?
It is such a big problem, right? So if anybody's paying attention to some of the data that's coming out about the workforce, whether it's Gallup or the American Psychological Association or we're in a situation where I call it a stress pandemic. People are absolutely stressed. And one of the things and I don't care the part of the world, I don't care the industry, people are not only stressed, they're bordering on anger, they're worried. And what's happening now is and even executives, everybody's being told do more with less. Here's the outcome we have to go do, and yet we expect you to pick up the extra load and get it done. And when you think about the whole definition of the word strategy, most people use the textbook definition was a strategy is a plan to achieve a targeted outcome. And right off the bat, that's wrong. I think that's flat out wrong. Strategy is not a plan. Plans, as you said, everything looks great on paper, Darrell, until people get involved. So I love what Henry Mintzberg says out of Canada. He says, look, strategy is a series of decisions that we make. So if a strategy is not a plan, something that's written on a piece of paper or on a digital screen, it's really about decision making. Are we as leaders empowering everybody on our team to make great decisions? And the reality is, and the data shows, and we can go deep into that if you want, it shows we're not. Flat out. In North America, 2/3 of the entire workforce is disengaged. Not just disengaged, it's between disengaged and actively disengaged, like quiet quitting. What's the new phrase? People show up they show up for coffee, spend a couple of hours and leave at lunchtime, and then they go out and go do whatever they're going to do because why work? Because I'm not being supported. In Europe, it's 88%.
Wow.
Almost 90% are disengaged or active, and it just right around the world. Right around the world, we're sitting in a situation where people are wanting to blame, and let's talk sales. They want to blame the sellers and say, you guys need to work harder. You gals aren't working hard enough or smart enough, whatever. And I go, look, everybody wants to do their job. It's not that people don't want to do their work. They're just tired of not being empowered to do it. They're just tired of not having clarity. Why do priorities keep changing? Why is the definition of success, the goalposts keep moving all over the place? The average tenure right now of an executive vice president is 1 to 2 years.
Wow.
1 to 2. That means every 1 to 2 years, whatever we were told at SKO is completely worthless because we're getting a new leader. Here's the new strategy. Here's the new pivot. And I want marketing to do this. And I want sales to do this. And ops is going to do this. And here's the new pricing strategy. We're like, wait a minute. We haven't even finished what you told us to do last year. And now we have to change everything again. I just don't know how people do it. I get really bothered personally when I think what sellers have to go through, and more importantly, what managers have to go through in order to keep the train on the tracks.
Well, you know what? Let's just face it. What you're just saying, it just didn't happen overnight. It's not like we just woke up today and this problem just all of a sudden is happening. This has been brewing for quite some time. So why do you think, in your words, Tim, why do you think the light's being shined on it more so now than ever before? But this thing's been brewing probably for a decade, if not longer.
It's definitely, and part of it's generational shift. I mean, let's be clear. The data for 35 and under versus 35 and older is different. The 35 and younger crowd has a different set of expectations than the 35 and older crowd. And actually, I'll reveal my age a little bit. They actually cut off those born before 1965 have a much more positive view than those born after 1980. It's like they took Gen X right out of it because we're like, we don't care. But the reality is the 35 and under crowd is like, look, hey, I want to work hard, but I want to work smart. I grew up in an information age. I grew up in an age that said it's about being a knowledge worker and using generative AI, using technology to make the work smarter. But you have people out there going, don't worry about it, just elbow grease your way through it. And we get hammered with new systems and poor data and all this other stuff. And I'll just say the level of tolerance for our older audience members is much higher or much stronger than the tolerance for younger people going, I'm fed up with it. I'm tired of it.
Yeah, this environment where we're working in right now with these levels of engagement so low, I think it's got massive implications to sales leaders. And it's got massive implications to sales professionals, especially those who are selling to business people who are disengaged at what they do. So let's start with sales leaders. Sales leaders, VPs of sales, CROs, and even the executives that are listening in. Where do you begin to untangle some of this? Where do you begin to turn the ship when it comes to this really challenging environment we find ourselves in right now?
That's a great question, Darrell. And I'm actually going to give you an answer that applies to everybody. So we can hyper focus on the leaders, but it boils down to this. You need to know if your company can execute. You need to know if you're in an environment where you're literally being set up for success or failure. And there's 5 critical pieces that are the most common obstacles to making an environment horrible for decision making. But those same 5 elements are the levers you need for success. So let's talk about those 5 quickly, and then I'll give you what I call the secret sauce to bringing it to life. Awesome. The biggest barrier that we all deal with is a lack of culture. We work in a place that's just toxic. People just, and my definition of culture is not what are the values on the poster. My definition of culture is what's the default behaviors that everybody reverts to when we have to deliver an outcome. When the stress goes up, that's our true culture. It is not when everybody's having a good time in Vegas or wherever they're at. And, everybody's, the manager's buying all the drinks and the, bonus checks are being handed out and all the other stuff. That's not the culture of the company. The culture of the company is what happened when we're behind in our numbers and everything else. So first and foremost, culture. Second, right behind that is accountability. If there's no, and I mean, when I say accountability, I don't just mean there's consequences. I mean, there's trust-based accountability, not fear-based accountability. And people are willing to be transparent. They're willing to increase the visibility and raise their hand and say, hey, I messed up, or raise their hand and say, I need help. And the organization's ready to step in and provide trust-based support. Number 3 is engagement. We've been talking about this. Engagement is huge. It's getting a lot more attention, and deservedly so, because companies that have highly engaged workforces are 23% more profitable. And when you're more profitable, I can tell you as a business owner, profits make everything better, right? So if we don't have engagement, we can't execute. Number 4, empowerment. And now we're getting into the nitty gritty, the empowerment piece. If I don't have what I need to be successful, don't tell me what success is. You're just going to demotivate me. And number 5, and this is the most common problem I see in I don't care where I am in the world or what industry or organization I'm looking at, a lack of clarity. If we're not clear on what the strategy is really about, what the priorities are, and then goals and roles, and making sure we're aligned to achieve those priorities in order to deliver that outcome, we cannot execute. They did a study in Australia, and it got published in Harvard Business Review. They asked employees, they gave them a multiple choice question and said, here's our company strategy. Pick it out of the multiple choices. 71% of people could not identify their company strategy in a multiple choice question. So the secret sauce, reverse the order. Don't fix the culture. Don't fix culture first. It's a huge, squishy, massively complex thing. That's last. Trust me, you want to start at clarity. Get clarity first. Get the clarity locked in. Make sure everybody understands what success looks like, what we're trying to do. Are the priorities, let's keep them the same. If they change, make sure everybody knows that change, because the last thing we need is somebody, let's say in sales, saying, hey, I need help from pricing, and pricing is not my priority right now. Time out. This is one of our top accounts. What do you mean it's not a priority? We need to make some adjustments. I need the pricing desk or whoever to be involved. I need product demos, or name it. If we're not aligned on our clarity, none of it comes to life. Secondly, once the clarity is established, you must immediately make sure empowerment's in place. People need their people, their time, their energy, and their resources. And resources includes the data they need to make great decisions. You do those 2 things, automatically things get better. And then if you want to be high performing, then you go tackle engagement. And one of the easiest way to go do that is start coaching. Managers, if you're listening, start coaching. Leaders, start coaching. But before you want to spend all your time coaching, trust me, I've learned this the hard way. Coaching will not come to life without clarity and empowerment in place. If clarity and empowerment in place, coach like crazy, because performance will spike up. But if there is no clarity and there is no empowerment, all your coaching efforts are essentially a really nice warm hug. And your employees will love it, but they won't be able to work differently no matter what you coach, because you're not empowered and you're not clear. And then you can go after accountability. And finally, you will start seeing your culture shift.
Oh, hey, Ohai, I'm giving you a virtual hug on this one, because you used a word that's near and dear to me. My eyes were lighting up when you got the clarity. I was looking at Darrell because he knew exactly where I was going with this. I'm a high clarity guy. And, even here at Selling from the Heart, when we have our team gatherings and things like this, I have to bring clarity to the forefront, because if I'm not clear, then you kind of, things are just wishy-washy and they muddle around. And I'm just thinking in terms of how messages get cascaded and things like that in an organization. How many people bob their head with clarity, but they go, you know what? It really isn't clear, but there's lack of trust. So no one really wants to speak their mind to get clarity on it. So they just bobblehead their way through everything. And before you know it, it's just a big mushy mess.
Absolutely right. And what's crazy about it is we all recognize it.
Yeah.
This is the part that drives me nuts. We all see this. We all know this. We all recognize, and yet the workplace still isn't shifting. So, and that's frankly, that's one of the reasons I'm hard into this executive coaching role that I now do as part of my business, because I just have to, it's like, the story of the starfish, right? The little boy and the starfish, right? There's a huge storm. All these starfish get knocked up on the beach, and they're all just out in the sun drying and baking. And this little boy goes out there and he picks up a starfish and he picks it up and he throws it back into the ocean. He finds another starfish and he picks it up and he throws it back in the ocean. And somebody comes by and says, "Little boy, what are you doing?" He says, "I'm saving starfish." And he goes, look at the beach. There's starfish everywhere. You can't save all of them. What you're doing doesn't matter. And the little boy grabs a starfish, holds it in his hand, and looks at the person and holds it up and says, "It matters to this one." And he throws it back in the ocean. And I really believe that's what I do, and others like me. We're trying to help leaders one at a time and individuals one at a time, because there are people out there who are like, I want to change it. And I want to be different.
I love this. And this, I'm looking at the list. I'm just taking notes as we go through. This is so powerful. But to begin with clarity as an organization and on your team is one thing. To begin with clarity internally, like what am I clear about why I'm, what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, what I'm going to do? Like, am I clear about that? And then have I made sure that I've got what I need to get it done? And if I don't, am I asking for it? And this is one of the things, I think is we've all worn the hat of sales leader in all of us on this podcast at some point in our career. And I would say that being a sales leader is one of the most challenging jobs. Maybe an air traffic controller is like, it's almost as challenging as being an air traffic, because there's just so much coming at you, right? And from pressure from above and lines of people out the door and all of that. And I got to say that, for our friends listening in who are sales professionals, what can we do to help our sales leaders lead us better? What can we do?
Yeah. So I'm gonna give the answer to, again, the individuals, but this applies to leaders. You can ask these questions yourself. Don't wait till someone comes to you. So the first question, and this is like almost never asked, is if I'm working for somebody, I would ask, "Hey, what's our mandate for disruption?" This strategy is either meant to optimize or transform. Are we trying to minimize disruption through optimization? And that means just, hey, keep things as smooth as possible. Or are we trying to actually transform? And because you can't transform without generating disruption. So asking that question first sets up the filter or the bias that you want for the answer to every other question. Because if I go to my boss and my boss says, "Hey, we're here to generate disruption. We've been told we're going to go for market share, or we're going to go for disrupting the market with a new product launch and all that stuff." And then I ask for support from ops. I ask for support from finance. I ask for support from IT. And they believe the strategy is to minimize disruption. I'm going to be a nuisance. I'm going to be a bother. I'm going to be potentially a competitor, maybe even an enemy. And we're like, time out. I thought we're all on the same team pursuing the same strategy. So you've got to get that clarity. And it may be 60% keep the lights on, 40% disruption. And when it comes to these customers or this product, we're going to break the rules. Everything else must stay the same. Let's get that clarity first. And if you're working for here's the hard part. You're going to ask your boss, and they're going to go, "No one's ever talked about this before."
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So then they're going to have to go to their boss, and they're going to have to go to their boss. On my podcast, I just had the CEO for Sub-Saharan Africa for Colgate-Palmolive. Wonderful, wonderful guy. And what made him so special is he's got 30-something countries that he's overseeing, and their most recent round of employee survey said that their clarity on the understanding of strategy is the same from top to bottom. And he was actually in the field in a part of Africa, with one of the local sellers. And he's first of all, the CEO is here visiting me to go visit customers. Yes. Secondly, it was like I asked, or the seller asked the CEO, "Hey, what's the strategy?" CEO gave the answer. He said, "That's what my boss says." My boss says the exact same thing. So if you can get that kind of clarity first, and it does involve lots of discussion, then second question, what are our top priorities? So I say, question 1, what's the scope around disruption? Question 2, what are our priorities? I want 1, 2, 3 in order. And I want permission that if it's not 1, 2, 3, it goes to the back of the line, or at least it goes on pause until 1, 2, and 3 are done. I should be able to call anybody in the organization. I'm working on priority 2. Unless you're working priority 1, I need you to help me. And if you get that clarity around prioritization, then you can talk goals and roles. But everybody wants to put the goal first. But the goal first will get destroyed by A, a misunderstanding of scope, and B, a different set of priorities. So let's pause there. Questions, comments, reactions, anecdotes.
Here's a first word. I don't know why it popped into my head, Tim. I'm sitting here listening to what you're saying. First word pops in my head: synergy.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's just like I'm sitting here going, this creates synergy. The next word that popped into my head was alignment.
Absolutely, 100%. Now think about this, Larry. If you get synergy and alignment, what's the potential of your performance?
Yeah,
because to say that you're going to get it means that you don't have it now.
Mm-hmm.
And how many organizations do we know? How many organizations do we consult with? How many players do we talk with who are like, my company just can't seem to get out of its own way? And yet, if you tackle these things, don't worry about culture. Don't worry about accountability, because if you have no clarity, none of that will work. If you inject clarity, you inject synergy, you inject alignment, your culture will blossom. Accountability will transform. It becomes a way different workplace. But people don't think this way.
Well, you know what I was saying, as Darrell, what I was sitting here thinking about, this is how it oozes out when the salespeople go out to the field. And then they have the conversations with their clients or a future client. They don't have all this stuff mudding in the back of their head going, hey, I'm talking to this client, Darrell. I know he's going to blast me with this. I got to take this back here, and I know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I think it actually transformed how we sell.
Yeah.
If you think about it, you go to your customers, what am I selling? I'm either selling clarity, I'm selling empowerment, I'm selling engagement, accountability, or I'm helping your culture get stronger. Basically, everything we do. Most of the time, we're helping on the front end. We're helping them help them be clearer around whether it's data systems or whatnot so they can make better decisions, or we're empowering them. We're going to make your work easier. But we don't think that way. We think in terms of features and benefits and all that other stuff. I go, no, you're helping sell execution to that company. If your product or service does what you say it does, you should be changing your whole definition of value, because I promise you, your competitors aren't talking that way.
Wow. Just mind blown. That's awesome, Tim. And you're working on some awesome stuff right now as we wrap up, because execution is king. We can talk. And if you're a sales leader, sales professional, company leader, doesn't matter. The stuff that's on paper, that's great, but it doesn't mean a hill of beans until you actually execute. And Tim, I'm so excited about what you're working on right now. Can you share it with us?
Yeah, I've just launched a masterclass, an online masterclass, where I take all the best practices that I use with my clients to help them achieve their results. So I worked with Mark and his team and all of his sales leaders, and they had the best year-over-year growth in 10 years.
Awesome.
I helped another client is a CEO of a startup, and using these principles scaled quickly to a multi-million-dollar business, and now they're scaling and going completely national in the US. So I know these principles work, and it's just I can only do so much one-to-one. So I put it all into an online masterclass, and the link we'll put in the bio. You can put in the show notes here below. Yep. And then if people want to just get a quick hit, just to remember something, timohai.com. You can go there as well. But fundamentally, we have to change the way we think about how we execute, because execution is where all the money is made.
I love it. I love
good.
it. Tim, always a pleasure. Thanks for sharing your heart with us today. You're a true inspiration. I love the work you're doing. This was awesome. I told everybody it was going to be awesome. Thank you, Tim.
I love you.
Oh,
Stuck in that quick I love you there at the end. Hey, look.
that was good. That made me feel good, Darrell.
This is one thing is for sure. Clarity was brought to the forefront here as a solid first step. And I know you love that because that's part of your YOS, Larry. But this is so true. When we're not clear and we don't understand and our people don't understand what the priorities are, it's a mess and people get frustrated. And then you see these numbers that 70% are disengaged and frustrated. And if we're honest and look at our own organizations, and if you're a leader of the people on your team, you go, okay, well, there's a problem here. And it begins with what Tim's talking about, which is clarity. And I'm so excited that Tim's put together this masterclass to really help us move into execution. Because when we do, great things can happen.
Absolutely. I just have to take one more layer. I got to get a little bit granular on this clarity, because this is what leaders need to really think about. Am I creating that environment? Am I creating that environment where the people that report to me, the people that are in my team, my department, even my company, do they feel comfortable and safe saying, hey, things aren't crystal clear. Can you explain this?
That's right.
And, this all starts at the top. We got to cascade a message that's completely crystal clear, but then also then just stop and say, for those who may not be clear, what do we need to address? What do we need to talk about? Because this thing's not going anywhere until we all get clear.
What I love is I wrote down those five elements of execution that Tim talked about. What he said at the end was totally mind-blowing around think about your value stack as a sales professional in helping deliver clarity, empowerment, engagement, accountability, and toxic culture. That's right, Tim. I took notes. This one's a rewind.
By the way, I saw you looking down a couple of times.
That's right.
I knew you had
right here.
I knew you had pen in hand.
We've got, I'm just so thankful for Tim. Seriously, go check out this masterclass. I think it's going to be a game changer for you, for your team and your company. And make sure to like and subscribe to Selling from the Heart. If you're brand new here, we're so glad you're here. We got an amazing roster of guests coming up throughout the fall on into the new year. So if you want to stay focused and fired up in Q4 and on into 2025, you want to subscribe. You can do it on YouTube. You can do it on any podcast platform. And we'd love to have you here. And just a huge thank you to everybody that's liking and sharing and building this movement of authenticity right here in this sales profession we all love.
Yeah, we're grateful for all of you. I've said this over and over again. Selling from the Heart built this movement. And this movement occurs with all of you waving the flag around, selling from the heart. Now it's selling from the heart and selling in a post-trust world together. This is a great 1-2 combo, Darrell.
That's right.
Authenticity and trust.
It's a game changer. So till next time, keep being genuine, keep being authentic, keep building trust, execute, and most of all,
sell from the heart.